You are now listening to Playbook Radio. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
And welcome to Playbook Radio. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links to the podcast can be found at gameplanplaybook.com. That's gameplanplaybook.com. So today what I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to have to play with the title before I publish it, but it will be essentially how to program a disruptive thinking pattern out of your life. So for people who have trouble staying on task, keeping their attention on one thing until it's completed, staying focused, concentrating for a long time, that can be a very challenging thing to deal with. And we're at a place in history or in our society now where it's more accepted to have an attention deficit. You know, people who have been diagnosed as ADHD, there's a lot of support for people. And that's a good thing. And I think it was needed for quite some time. When I was in school, it wasn't really an accepted thing. It wasn't something that had a lot of support attached to it. You're basically shunned. Okay. It was difficult. And I think I had some form of undiagnosed ADHD growing up and into adulthood. I just got to a point where I couldn't focus, and it caused me problems in school. It caused me problems in various jobs that I had. This wasn't able to keep my attention on one thing until completion. So over the years, I would study the mind, and I learned a lot about the mind, and I more or less, worked my way out of ADHD, right? And again, I wasn't officially diagnosed, but I'm 99% sure I had some form of it growing up. But I got out of it. I was able to move past it. And what I did was I learned how to direct my mind. I had to realize that I wasn't my mind. And I think that people are so tied to their mind. They think that they are their mind and that their mind is not a separate entity of themselves. You have a mind, but your mind is not you. So you have to first separate yourself from your mind, and then you have to take charge of your mind. And that's what I did. I took charge of my mind, and I told my mind what I wanted it to do. And that was the genesis of what I've done for the last 6 to 7 years consistently, which is reprogram my mind in the way that I want it to be. And so any thinking pattern can be programmed out of your mind, in my opinion. You can have the most haphazard thinking pattern known to man, but you can program a different pattern. Just like you can program a computer, the mind is the original computer. Before we had an Apple, before we had Windows, we had a mind. And so just like you can program a computer, you can program your mind. And your mind is being programmed, whether you realize it or not, by other people and by other things, whether it's social media, whether it's commercials, whether it's society, whether it's movies, TV, whatever it is. There's programming happening every second of every day. So you're being programmed, again, whether you accept it or not or realize it or not, you're being programmed by someone or some entity at some point. So why not program your own mind so you can have the results and do the things that are meaningful to you? Because when people program your mind, they're programming your mind to do what they want you to do, to buy this product, to go to this place, to vote for this person, right? Since we're in an election year, your mind is being programmed to fulfill the desire of someone else. So why not program your own mind to fulfill your desires? Okay. So I'm off my soapbox now. Right. And so when it comes to disruptive thinking, what I wanted to play around with is there a way to reprogram your mind out of disruptive thinking? And I discovered that there is. You have to program your mind in a more linear fashion, right? So the way that a disruptive brain works, or the way that a disruptive mind works, is that you sit down and you decide, okay, I'm going to do these three things. And let's say they're work tasks, right? So you sit down, you decide you're going to do these three work tasks, and immediately something pops in your head and you decide to check Instagram. So you check Instagram. And then by the time you've gone to about 10 accounts on Instagram, you haven't done the first thing. And so you realize that you wasted maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20, maybe 30. And then you go back to the task and you realize, okay, I gotta go to work. I gotta get this done. Right. And maybe your manager is bearing down on you, or another coworker. And so, and you basically repeat that pattern. And then you say, well, I don't have enough time to get my work done. But, and everyone has different workloads and different situations. But is that really true in a lot of cases? And the answer is no, not in all cases. Sometimes it's just a matter of wasting time. But the reason that you wasted time was because of a disruptive thought pattern. And so your thoughts are basically going east, west, north, south, going 20, 30 places within a minute. Okay. And you're thinking of a million different things because there's so much input. Okay. We live in a time where there's more input than there's ever been. So that's why we're seeing all these diagnoses of ADHD, because the input is on overload, right? So your mind has to adjust, and it has the ability to adjust, but you have to tell it to do it. Okay. It has the internal programming to do what you tell it to do, but it has to be told what to do. Okay. So what I did was I said, okay, when I'm working on a job or in my business or any other important task or goal, I work on one thing at a time until successful completion. I make the best decision and follow through until I finish. Okay. So I say that over and over again. It's written down. So I say it and I repeat it. And the way that you reprogram your mind is through repetition. Okay. But you also have to release the old pattern. So you audibly say that I'm releasing this scattered thinking pattern from now on. Okay. Now, it's not going to happen overnight in most cases. But if you do it consistently, you will notice that you start thinking more linearly about everything. And when you sit down to get something done that's work related, you get right to it. And oftentimes you get it done a lot quicker. Okay. And then you can just stack on top of that. But that's something that everyone can do. Everyone listening to this can do. You can reprogram your mind. You don't need anyone to help you. And you can stack, like I said, you can stack commands. And so you can say, when I'm working, I don't get distracted. No matter what's going on around me, I don't get distracted. I stay focused 100% until I finish. I don't waste time. I don't check social media while I'm working. When I take a break, I'll check social media at that point. But while I'm working, I work on work. And so you can stack infinite amount of commands on that original command that I just gave you. And the mind has to obey you because the mind is submissive to your higher consciousness, right? So we're programming our mind from a higher consciousness. So it has to submit, okay? It has to do what you tell it to do. And you can overcome disruptive thinking patterns. Now, does this heal ADHD? I would never promise you that, okay? But if you consistently do it, you will see results. You will absolutely see results. It will absolutely be better. And so disruptive thinking is not something you have to live with. You don't have to live with a scattered mind that goes 0 to 60 back and forth. You got too much to do. Like you have too many things that you've got to complete and got to finish. You don't have time to take an hour to do one thing. Okay. So try that, see how it works, and let me know what your results are. My name is Martin Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in to Playbook Radio. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Playbook Radio. If this episode helped you, please share it with family and friends. For more about Playbook strategies, please go to GameplanPlaybook.com.